It came from. It came from.
Let's switch gears and get to it came from. Yes, this week, like I mentioned in the pre-show, we got our stuff handed to us on a silver platter tonight. This is the part of the show where we search all over the internet to bring you topics the community is talking about. So we just mentioned Patreon. We just mentioned our honorary Human Factors cast, Michelle Tripp. Well, Michelle writes in. She says, I have a question. Should I get my PhD? I'll be finishing my master's soon, and I'm trying to decide if I need a PhD. Will it make me more successful in my human factors career? I've heard mixed answers from multiple people I've spoken to about this. Some say it's unnecessary, and others say it will make you the ultimate expert in your field. Blake, I'm going to add on. So there's like 3 levels here, right? There's master's, PhD, but I also want to back up and talk briefly about what you can do with a bachelor's in human factors or psychology. So I'm going to pass it over to you. What can you do with each level? How do you measure success? Those types of things. Go.
Yeah, so this is not going to be an easy answer. And I'm afraid I'm going to give unpopular opinions, but there's not a whole lot I can do but be myself and answer the question here. So in terms of like which degree makes sense, I didn't really know about human factors, and I definitely didn't know that you could get an undergraduate degree anywhere near me when I was learning about psychology. So if I had gotten the opportunity to do that, I probably would have. And I don't know what I would have done from there. It all depends on what I had learned, because I've talked about this on the show before. The master's program that I went to, it was invaluable. Like the methods teaching what is everything that I do today. It basically is a foundation for my job. And even though like I do a lot more UX design and front end development now, like it's still like understanding those research insights and translating it. I couldn't have done it without my master's and the program itself. But I think the thing here that I'm getting hung up on that I don't really know how to, I guess, answer it is I'm not sure that it's going to guarantee you that you're going to be more successful no matter what level of degree you have. I think that level of success is going to be much more dependent on you. And I think you may learn more skills from a PhD program. You may get more skills from a master's program, but I think it depends on where you end up in your job, and if you like the industry you're working in, the work that you're doing, and you're seeing impact and you want to continue to grow and spread the word about the stuff that you do, more so than it's going to be impacted by the degree that you have. Having said that, you're coming to somebody who does not have a PhD. I don't know what it's like to go get my PhD. I have my master's, and that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm glad that you're hearing mixed answers, because that's really what I would want you to be hearing, because I think it's ultimately up to you. And the question becomes like, why do you want to get your PhD, or why don't you? Or do you want to go get some work experience and then see if like maybe getting a PhD is something that you want to do, depending on the industry you want to go into. And that's kind of the last thing I'll say on the topic is think about the industry and look at the landscape of, what you're seeing out there. Because I know personally the places that I'm really interested in are in tech giants. And a lot of people have PhDs, and a lot of, job postings will not require, but they will say it's an added bonus to have a PhD. So that has made me kind of like think, oh, I don't know if I should have got my PhD or not, or is that something I should pursue now? But anyway, I of course I'm going to say one more thing. The other kind of last concept here is there's no like time limit for when you can go get your PhD. So if you're interested in like just seeing what it's like to apply what you've learned, you can always go back to school. Or if you're just like super interested in a program, that's really where I would kind of jump in and say, yeah, let me get my PhD because I'm interested in these ideas, these people to work with, that kind of stuff. But Nick, tell us a little bit about your perspective here.
So I am in a similar boat to you, Blake. I also have my master's. That is where my level of education is at. No PhD here. However, I do want to talk just briefly about success. And it's a weird metric. How do you measure success? How do you define success? For me, it's, do I have fun with what I'm doing? Do I make enough money to support myself and my family financially? And really, do I have a network of people that I can rely on if something falls through? Those are my metrics of success. Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Do I have enough money to support myself financially? Do I have a network of people? And I think I would consider myself successful by those standards. I think everybody has their own levels of success, right? Do you want to attribute success to a certain position in the workforce? Do you want to become a director of, research at a tech company? Do you want to just be a busy bee UX researcher? I say that, and it's not derogatory at all. It's just, do you want to be like a mid-level UX researcher, or do you want to direct the way something is going? And I think that is also another way to define success. You can also talk about success in terms of money. You can attribute a certain financial value to that and measure success by that metric. And so, in terms of what each of these levels of degrees do for success, I think it largely depends on, it largely depends on what you want to measure success by, right? So let me just briefly talk about, at least generally, this is general, sort of, this is a generalization here, and this is by no means like a definitive categorical bucketing of each of these degrees, but this is what I have experienced out in the field for each of these degrees. The types of jobs that you would get with a bachelor's might be like a junior UX role. You can work your way up. It's something where you're not going to be in complete control of the research. It's going to be more of a assistant position to begin with once you get out, right? Now at the master's level, you have a little bit more freedom with that. You might come out into like a mid-tier role where you might have some say in the direction of the way something is going. You might work at like a human factors research firm. You might do, more targeted human factors research that is a little bit more broad. I would say you could probably specialize in some domain like defense or healthcare or something like that. But you're still not the top, right? And PhDs, they are the ones who are directing the research at these places. They are the ones that are bringing in the money for the company. They are the ones that are driving the projects. And I will say, like the master's level, you might get like a project manager level that might happen after a couple years of work or depending on your experience. I'm just saying these are general buckets. Now, there's no reason why somebody who has their bachelor's couldn't work their way up and be director someday. It's just, if you have your PhD, you're more likely to get that type of position after getting it. It's just, I think of them generally as more or less pathways to that research. I don't know how else to say it. I think it really just depends on how you measure success, and that's kind of where I'm going to land on this, is find out what is your measure of success, determine which of these is most in line with that. For me, I got success by getting my master's and calling it done. And my metrics of success may change someday. I may decide, yes, I want to be the one who directs the research. And if I'm not getting that in other ways, and I might need to go back and get my PhD someday, and that's fine. But that's because my metric of success has changed. That's where I'm at. I don't know. Any other closing thoughts on this one, Blake?
No, I think that kind of wraps it up really good. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to what do you really want to do in the human factors breadth of stuff out in the world, and that, I think that will really help you kind of guide whether a PhD makes sense. But I mean, the best thing I think of all the advice here is what Nick has said, like write down what success means and kind of see what that kind of pans out as for you.